Hi, and welcome to our first official video. We are the Nomad Tribe, and this is essentially our intro video. So we are a family of 4 with 2 children, a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we have decided that we are going to travel Southeast Asia for 6 months. So I wanted to just do this video to give everyone a bit of a brief background about who we are, why we came to this decision, how we came to this decision, and how it went from being an idea to actually now being a reality. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So like I said, we're a family of 4 with 2 kids, and we are from the UK. We are of Somali origin, so we are Somali, and we are Somali British. So rewind all the way to the beginning. We were working, the kids are in school, and it's the usual humdrum of life, right? You're working numerous hours a day, the kids are in school, every day you wake up and it's the same routine over and over and over and over again. You do the same thing literally every single day. And it got to the point where we already holidayed quite a bit. We tried to get away and tried to travel as much as we could. But it got to a point where I felt like we needed more. I needed more. I needed to see the world. I needed to have some time to explore that didn't have a hard and fast deadline to going back to normal. We all work, we all send our kids to school, so the majority of you will know the pressures that comes with that every single day. Every day there's a laundry list of things to do, and you wake up, you get them done, and then you go back to sleep, and then rinse and repeat constantly. So one day I was just like, this can't be it, right? This can't be life. We can't keep doing this and then trying to grasp those few days that you have booked on holiday and you're going somewhere and you're really excited, and that's all your mind can think about because you're getting away from the things that you're doing every day. So we sat down and we had a conversation, and we said, okay, you know what? We want to take a beat. We want to take a minute and do something completely different. What should we do? So we kind of were floating around 2 options initially. Option 1 was, do we want to move? Do we want to live abroad for a year and just go and experience somewhere different? At least that is somewhere different. Even if we go and we're working and the kids are in school, it's a different environment. There'll be different things to do. It's not the same things over and over again. Take the kids to soft play, or take them to the same place that you've taken them to 12 times. Like, how many times can you really go to the zoo, and how many times can you really go to those jumping parks? So we were floating around that idea, looking at the logistics of it, and then the second option was to do a block of time just travelling. So 6 months, a year, whatever we could afford, whatever we could save. So we started with option number 1 to see, is that viable? Can we do it? And it seemed like the logistics of option number 1 were there was too many things that we needed to arrange. Like me finding a job, my other half finding a job, the kids' school, how much was that going to cost, what was the visa requirements, and there was just a lot on. And could we find 2 jobs at the same time? Would it be one person working? Would we be able to afford that? It just seemed like there was a lot of kerfuffle with option number 1. So we said, why don't we go for option number 2? With option number 2, everything is within our control, right? How long we're gone for, how we save our money, just everything from beginning to end is something that we hold control over. So we then said, okay, let's do option number 2. Let's travel and let's do it for a set amount of time. So once we'd made that decision, the second decision, or the second part, was, how do we fund this? How do we fund X amounts worth of travel? So we had a look at budgets, and we said we'd need to save X amount. I'll do another video on budgets and what we did exactly for finances, but we said we need to budget. So when we looked at budget, we looked at how much we needed per month versus figuring out a full total and then going with that number. So we figured out how much would it realistically cost per month. So that number of how much it would cost will vary based on where you decide to go. So our decision was, let's do Southeast Asia, right? It's a lot more affordable than a lot of the other regions. We will be able to, there's a lot of things to explore. There's different countries and different cultures and food. And it's somewhere that we've loved coming to. I mean, we've been here on 3 separate occasions outside of just this trip. So it's somewhere that we know and love, and we haven't really explored it to its fullest content. So we said, okay, we're doing Southeast Asia, this is how much we think we will need, and we set out to saving X amount per month to get us to the goal of this is how many months we are going to be there, this is the total. And then we were saving, we had our goal, we were working towards that. It got a bit more serious, so now we were encroaching on the time where, okay, like we're actually going to do this, we're actually going to quit work, pull the kids out of school, pull the kids out of nursery, school, etc. So it came time to handing in our notice, and for me that was when it was the stomach drop, we're actually doing this. So I handed in my notice on a job that I adored and a job that I loved. And for me that was, okay, crap, you're actually leaving this place where you love what you do and you love the people that you work with, and you may never go back here, and you may never be in that level of, oh, I really enjoy this and I really enjoy people I'm working with. So we left. Well, I handed my notice in, and essentially I worked up until the moment where I was leaving. And then the kids' school, so I had to deregister my 10-year-old from school completely. So in the UK, you are not allowed to pull your kid out from school during term time, even for a holiday or vacation. It has to, you can request, you can say we're going to go, and they can either give you authorised or unauthorised absence, but a lot of the times you get fined for pulling your child out of school, which is a really weird rule, but we won't get into that. So because we were going away for such a length of time, I had to completely deregister her. So I had to pull her out of the school system completely to say she is no longer a part of not just this school, but I guess the structured school education, and I'm going to homeschool her. So I submitted those forms, and the little kids' nursery, like the little toddler's nursery, I told them that we were leaving as well, so we would need to pull her out completely too. So the logistics were pretty much laid, savings was ticking along nicely, everyone knew that we were going, and we were riding the last 3 months, buying little bits and bobs. We were trying to not buy a lot of stuff, so we're only traveling with 2 suitcases and 2 backpacks for the 4 of us for these 6 months, because I did not want to carry anymore. I wanted one, but we just couldn't fit everything into one, so we decided and settled with 2. So now we're about the last 2.5 months. We're ready to go, we're excited, everything is doing what it needs to do, everything is in play. But then at the last hour, it seemed like we had, through testing, a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes with our 2-year-old. And as you could imagine, that threw everything up in the air. We were like, what the hell do we do now? With type 1, it's completely different from type 2. So with type 2, that's more to do with lifestyle and diet, and you can control type 2 with a number of different things, whereas type 1, there's no rhyme or reason to why it happens. It's usually diagnosed in childhood, but sometimes in adulthood as well, and it's just when your pancreas stops creating insulin. So you become reliant on insulin to live, I guess. So she's going to need insulin injections for the rest of her life, sorry. So we didn't know what to do. We were in a hospital for about, I think it was 8 or 9 days in the end, and we were working with her hospital team, who are honestly phenomenal, to learn what to do, right? Your child is now type 1 diabetic. Here's all of the insulin, bye. So we needed to learn what to do. We needed to learn how to count carbs, how to administer insulin based on those carbs, how to administer insulin via pump, via pen. How do you do blood glucose monitoring with blood? What does the continuous glucose monitor that she wears on her arm, how do you make that work? How often do you change all of these things? There was a lot to learn. Her hospital team made it so much more easier. But we were like, how can we go now? What do we do? How do we still fulfill this trip and look after our child whilst we're doing that, especially because she's a toddler? But one of her hospital team said, hey, listen, when you're making your decision, just know that she's either going to have diabetes here in the UK, or she's going to have diabetes wherever you are. Like, she's not cured because you're in the UK. And actually, it sounds really weird, but that made me feel really good. It made me understand that, you know what, she's right. We can either not do this thing that we've been planning to do for almost a year and stay home and live in that state of fear forever, or we could adjust some of the route that we've set, not go to anywhere that's super rural, know what the nearest hospital is every single place that we go, make sure that we've got enough stuff and make sure that we've got more than enough stuff than we need, and set out contingencies upon contingencies. So that's what we did. We made list upon lists. I am death by lists. If you work any other way, fight with yourself. But if I don't have a list, it doesn't exist and it's not a task. So I created so many different lists based on what happens if, what happens if, what happens if, what do we need when, etc., etc. So then started a whole nother work stream of, okay, now we've got to do all of this stuff alongside just a standard getting ready to go traveling as a family of 4 for 6 months. So we were running around like headless chickens, as you can imagine, getting everything sorted for the little one in terms of all of her diabetes stuff, making sure that we had all the meds for those 6 months, and then making sure that we were ready just as a family. So it was a really difficult time, but I would not change it for anything. And I've said from the beginning of the little one's diagnosis, alhamdulillah, because this could have worked out in about 15 different ways. We could have found out a week before we were leaving and had no time to plan and had to scrap the whole thing just through sheer panic. We could have found out in a much worse way than just testing, and she was in hospital actually sick. Or we could have found out in 1,000 different ways in 1,000 different scenarios, where imagine we did go to that remote island in Cambodia and there's no hospitals and she collapsed, or God forbid something worse. So alhamdulillah, I'm not complaining about how we found out. I'm actually very grateful about how we found out. But it was just a difficult period, which is relative to my difficult. So then it was time to go. We'd had everything sorted, we'd done our checklist, everything was planned, everything was arranged. We headed to the airport and now we are here in Kuala Lumpur. So just to give you a quick idea of our route, so we are in Kuala Lumpur now, and we're doing 3 weeks in Kuala Lumpur, and then we leave Kuala Lumpur, we head to Indonesia. Indonesia, our hit list is Bali, it is Lombok, it is the Gili Islands, and then once we leave Indonesia we're doing Cambodia, so we're doing Phnom Penh and Siem Reap, and then from Siem Reap we're doing northern Thailand, so Bangkok, Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, and then we leave Chiang Rai, we go to Laos, so we're just doing Luang Prabang in Laos, and then we leave there and we're heading into Vietnam, so we're doing Hanoi, Da Nang, Hoi An, and then Ho Chi Minh as well, and then we leave Ho Chi Minh and we do the Philippines. So we're doing Manila, Boracay and 1 or 2 other places, which is TBC for now, and then we leave the Philippines and we go to southern Thailand, so Phuket, Krabi and all of those islands, Koh Lanta potentially, and that will wrap up essentially our 6 months. So by then we'll see if we've got any money left and we can stay around a little bit longer. If we don't have any money left, then it's time to go home. But we're trying to be really careful with our money. Like I said, we've got a budget per month for all of this, inclusive of travel, accommodation, food, activities, attractions, etc. And I will break that down in another video, just to give you guys a bit of an idea, because that was also something that I was looking for when we were planning this trip on YouTube, was how much do I need realistically, how much is it going to cost, and I found a lot. There's a lot of information, but a lot of it is aimed at like backpackers or solo travelers. There wasn't really a lot on like families traveling around and the actual budget breakdown, so I will give a bit more information on that, and I will give a bit more information on the route as well, and how we planned it and how we mapped it, and how we're getting from each place as well, so I will give that information. But for now, I just wanted to do a very short video introducing ourselves and saying hello, salam alaikum, welcome to our channel, and I guess do the usual things that they ask you to do. So subscribe, like, give us a comment. We are a brand new channel and we are trying to grow it. I want to see more black family creators. I want to see more Somali black family creators. I want to see more just Muslim creators traveling the world. So we are black, we are Somali, we are Muslim. And I'm hoping to document our experiences as well, because like I said, there's not really a lot out there for families like us. There's a lot of content with white families that travel, and I loved watching their videos, but sometimes their experiences aren't our experiences. When they say that they were treated amazing and everyone was so lovely, I was like, yeah, that's fantastic, I'm really looking forward to going there. But sometimes it's just not the same, is it? Their wonderful experience is not our wonderful experience. It's not, well, we know what we're talking about. So I will give you guys an honest account. We have opened a TikTok and Instagram as well, where I'll be making shorter content there. But please follow along and let me know if there is any specific things that you want to see or any breakdowns that you want to see as well. Thank you.